And we move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the hearings panel report on the public places. Sorry, who chaired this one? I've got it in front of me.
Mike.
Sorry? Mike, over to you.
Thanks. I'll take the report as read. Just make a couple of quick notes. Consultation, I think, received 15 submissions, most of them supportive, a few with concerns. Based on the submissions and the hearings process, a few minor amendments were made. The hearings panel have also recommend that Council investigate a regulatory mechanism in regards to antisocial behaviour within the CBD and reporting back to the Regulatory Performance Committee.
Yeah, good. So you're happy to move that? Do I have a seconder? Dion? Any discussion? Dion?
I feel like I'm taking over.
No?
No, so this is great to see. I just had a couple of points that I've written down here, and one in relation to great to have the code of conduct for the central city. I think that's actually, again, and that's actually a good example of taking away rules and actually allowing people to do things. So this is a good news story. It'll allow people to get around and do whatever, but having a code of conduct may address that screaming piper in Cathedral Square, which will be lovely for a lot of people, I imagine. And, you know, I just want to encourage people to actually go out and make the city hum. You know, we want people in the city. You can just go and, you know, as long as you do the code of conduct thing, just go and have a good time. But I really wanted to raise the begging issue, which I noticed was in some of the submissions, and I just wanted to make a few points in relation to a couple of comments and emails I've had in the last couple of days, and one from the media around what Tauranga have done, and I hope we don't go down that track. I'm pleased to see that we are going to look at the issue a little bit more, but I just want to have a little note of caution on it. The staff that have done this bylaw in Tauranga investigated it. They can't enforce it. They can't remove the people, and the only way they can impose a fine is through a prosecution in the courts. It infringes the freedom of rights, the freedom of expression under the Bill of Rights. And this has a really major concern for me when we're looking at this, if we're going to come back and look at the begging issue. I just wanted to sort of lay these on the table. Rough sleeping, local government cannot make a bylaw to ban that. The staff in the Tauranga example a couple of days ago said this in their report. And so I hope that our staff will go and have a look at that report because it is quite good. It's going to cost $215,000 for them to fund it. That's actually quite a lot of money, and we're actually putting that money towards actually making active changes in Christchurch here. So what Tauranga have done is very uncompassionate, and I'd like to hope that our council is a compassionate council that actually gets things done. And we are addressing this issue quite seriously. So I'm glad to see that we haven't gone down the track in this bylaw of sort of putting more oppression onto people who are finding themselves in these vulnerable situations. Actually, this city, I want to be a city that I can be proud of and that we can all be proud of, that supports people that are in these situations. So yes, it's good to get the work back, but we actually do need to consider when looking at other regulatory requirements around this, that actually if we're going to do that, it actually would need to take a national approach, because there are absolutely no ways that local government in New Zealand can enforce it. So I just wanted to make that point. I know that I'm going to get hassled by it from the media because I've already got questions, but thanks for the work that everybody's done on this.
Aaron?
Yeah, I just wondered, during this process, did the trading in public places bylaw look to address the selling of sex on the street and
I think that's
sexual workers?
That's the next one that we're dealing with.
No, but trading in a public place for your sex business can't be enforced. Oh, never seen IOD down there.
Sorry, I'll just jump in there. Yes, that was looked at in the reports to the committee, and because council back in, I think it was November of last year, had decided not to take a regulatory approach, and there's a working group that's already looking into those issues, similar to what's happening with the non-regulatory approach for the street begging. So that's still ongoing work.
So the question comes down from lots of people who trade businesses in public places. Why should they pay their registration fee and abide by all the laws when others don't have to. Who are in a way, and you don't have to have a health and safety plan, you don't have to have a traffic management plan, but the others do, and people in that particular industry get murdered at a way higher rate than any other industry in the city. Why would we not be trying to help them?
Well,
We
these
are
matters
trying
were
to help them.
discussed and addressed by the council last November, and there is the ongoing work with the community working group, community liaison group that's looking at those issues.
Yeah, well, just while the vulnerable people in our city, I'll keep asking the questions if you guys don't mind.
Right, okay. Mike?
Thanks. Just a couple of points relating to Councillor Swig's comments. Obviously, there's other cities around New Zealand that have this issue and have looked at ways to fix it. Hamilton and Nelson have actually got some good schemes that are working there. And like, what we're trying to address here is antisocial nuisance. You know, there's a lot of people begging that actually aren't creating a problem. There's a lot of genuine homelessness that does need to be sorted. And yes, the council does have some very good non-regulatory approaches that are working and are doing a good job. But I don't think, and the panel did not think, that it's actually going to reach every single person. And there is, I think there's a group of people that are actually causing a serious nuisance to a lot of people within the 4As. And, you know, I guess the council can't turn a blind eye to that, and we need to make sure we look at tools that potentially we could use to actually sort the problem.
Yep. All right, I've got a mover and a seconder for it. I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried.